I'm going to start off with the quick, but I would say important and big news for some players, and then we'll get into Larian's bold statements. As always, chapter markers will be below. So starting off, Hotfix 19 is now live. Actually, it was live a few days ago, and it's also live on consoles as of the 23rd of February. As with most hotfixes, just filled with a bunch of like bug fixes and things of that nature. If you want to pause the video and actually read through all of them, feel free to do that right now. I usually don't cover hotfixes too much in depth unless there's anything like really big that needs to be talked about. Regardless, every patch that comes out, there's probably going to be issues with Baldur's Gate 3. It's just such a complex, deep game with a spider web of permutations, and when you change one thing, it can end up going down the spider web a million different directions and breaking something in an entirely different area of the game. So if when a patch comes out, you get super pissed off and your whole day's ruined because Baldur's Gate 3 is not working, I would probably recommend just waiting a few days when new patches come out. And the good news for us, Larian is usually on top of this, unlike many other studios out there that already got their money from the game and then they just stopped caring about it. But the big news with Hotfix 19 is that it brings up the discussion of mods. Patch 6 apparently did some damage to the modding community. All the mod creators out there know that every time they create a mod that there's a risk when a patch comes out that that mod might stop working. This has been happening since the start of early access, and until Larian gives us official mod support, every mod creator knows that there's a possibility of this happening. Well, apparently patch 6 really messed up mods, and this actually caused Larian to be a little bit more open with the future of mods with their game. And I think some of you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised, including myself, and I'm someone who doesn't really run mods that often. This makes me really excited for the future of mods with Baldur's Gate 3, and this is posted by an official Larianite. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you guys. Alongside our investigations, your support tickets have helped us identify a discrepancy within hotfix number 18 build, which meant that, unlike previous hotfixes, the script extender modification was no longer compatible with the latest game version. We absolutely love that we have such an active modding community across our titles, and have enjoyed seeing that passion grow even stronger with BG3. We want to continue making sure you're getting the best possible experience, which is why we frequently patch the game. Although this does inevitably mean that each new patch or hotfix has the potential to become incompatible with your favorite mods. We know this sucks. We want you to play with mods, and we want to make this right. Isn't that refreshing to hear companies even say lines like that? There's some companies out there that despise mods on their game. We are working on an official mod support and have been for a while. Now, this was actually, we've already known this for a long time, but Larian's been pretty quiet about it, so it's nice to see Larian touch on this again. We want the very best for you, which includes establishing a pipeline that lets mod authors release their mods across different platforms. That's pretty big news, because different platforms means consoles for mods, which typically it's really hard to experience mods with a console if you're an average player and enjoyer of mods. And Larian seems to be going out of their way to try to make that easier. Together with the platform holders, we are working on making this a reality and are forming a team to support mod curation. We're aiming to offer modding support for things like classes, UI, customization, spells, and certain assets and game mechanics. As this is no small task, we hope to introduce the initial stages of modding support in our next big patch. So patch 7, which is probably not going to be for, they say, several months away. But this is cool. This might be when I actually start checking out mods for the first time. Frustrated as you might be now, we're keen to work with you on this and have plans to reach out to popular mod authors to talk further and work together to avoid issues in the future. Larian is just a breath of fresh air in this industry. Like, they're going to be reaching out to popular mod authors to talk to them, to work with them, to help the modding community. And keep in mind, Larian doesn't have to care about mods. Like, first and foremost, they need to take care of their base game. They don't even have to take care of mods. They can just make it a frustrating experience and never even touch on it. And everything will probably be fine with PG3, to be honest with you, but they do care about the mods. And this is awesome. And I think in the long run, this is also going to make BG3 much more popular. And Larian's director of publishing over on Twitter posted, we've been working on a robust cross-platform plan for mod support to be released later in the year. So those of you guys that are feeling burnt out from Baldur's Gate 3, myself included, take a break. And then when this big news for official mod support comes out, I'll jump in and figure it out myself and then post a few videos to try to make the process as easy as possible for you guys. When a company's doing official mod support, that's going to make the modding experience so much less stressful and overwhelming of a thing to think about participating in. So yeah, really excited for this. We have a system, but it needs to be tested and it still requires work. So Larian's obviously made good progress on this. And yeah, that's it. They obviously care that some players are frustrated that their mods aren't working and the mod creators have to, you know, redo all of their hard work. So now let's move on to a few statements that Larian made at the DICE Awards. And this award ceremony is actually quite prestigious, arguably more prestigious than the Game Awards. It's definitely less flashy, and there's not as much focus on entertainment from a viewer perspective. But this award ceremony has been around since '98, and it's probably one of the most, if not the important award ceremonies. And guess what? Larian Studios won 5 awards, and they actually had a chance to give a few speeches, which are important to listen to. We're going to start right off with the speeches that I wanted to really talk about and I really wanted you guys to hear. And then at the end of the Game of the Year speech, I'll let the other ones play out for those of you guys that want to listen to Larian, you know, talk about their game and their accomplishments.
To add to that, a lot of people probably want to know what's the secret to your success. Last year I started thinking the secret to our success is the decisions that we make come from what does the player want? What do I think is best for the game? What is the most fun? What is the most crazy? People telling us we shouldn't do this, or we can't do it, or this is too challenging or too hard, like it was already said here today, that usually just gives us a kick up the arse to actually make it happen. The stuff that we make at Larian is we ask you to pay one price only for the game, and that's it. You can own it for the rest of your life. We don't have shareholders, but we also don't think about them. And we think there's an expression in Dutch that honesty lasts longest or something. There's probably a version in English as well that makes a lot of sense. But what we have tried in the last 20 years is to treat people like we would like to be treated ourselves as players, as gamers. So we don't make decisions where we think this could make us the most money. On the long run, building a community, building a player base, building games that are actually fun is going to make you the most money. That's it.
So that was David Walgrave, the executive producer at Larian, giving a little speech after Larian just won the big award, Game of the Year. Imagine Ubisoft executive producers talking like that. Imagine Activision executive producers giving a speech like that. It wouldn't work, would it? No. Now, who knows if Larian will stay like this forever? In fact, they probably won't. I mean, once Sven's time is done, who knows what could happen to the company. But for now, this is Larian. This is the company that we have in the industry that is a beacon of light, 100%, and they back up everything that they say with their games, like the Divinity series and now Baldur's Gate 3, and it seems like they don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So love to hear it. Pay one price, own the games for the rest of your life. I love Larian's boldness and just speaking out against the other business models that have taken over the gaming industry. They're kind of a little bit smack talking on the microtransaction companies out there that are fully dependent on these predatory microtransactions. It doesn't mean that a live service game can't be good or it can't be created in a way that is consumer friendly. I think it probably can, but overall, most companies have just been taking advantage of their consumers, and Larian's just speaking out on a huge stage right now, and they're not afraid to say things like this. So hopefully this inspires future game devs. Hopefully this inspires other companies to maybe just maybe consider a different business model, even if it's just slightly different and more towards a consumer-friendly direction. The second speech that I wanted you guys to hear was right before David spoke. So both of these speeches are for the Game of the Year accolade, and this is done by Michael, Larian's director of publishing.
This is existential to us, as you can tell from all the emotion on David's face. We're very lucky. We've had a lot of stage time. Others are not so lucky. This is a really human industry, and we're really bad sometimes at showing developers what they're worth and showing the players at home that we care about them. It's kind of the elephant in the room, especially surrounded by all this opulence, which, you know, can only go so far. Without people, we would not be standing here. Without the people that work on these games, we would not be standing here. Many, many people were let go at the start of this year. I want you all to know that you are talented and that you matter and that you are the future of this industry. Don't let that flame be extinguished by our collective mistakes. I know that everyone here is scared because shit's really fucked up. All of your projections are wrong, and it's scary. But we persevere as an industry, we will persevere as an industry, and you will all find your place, and you will all be welcomed back with open arms, and we'll still be making games for the players and for you, and with these guys.
So Larian wins Game of the Year, and the first speech that they give is actually just, you know, telling everybody in the industry that experienced the layoffs and all the uncertainty that's been going on. They touch on that and just tell those devs that they matter and that they're important and that the future is actually bright in the gaming industry, despite all the unfortunate things that are going on right now. Now, Larian is just really good at PR, but there's a reason why they're good at PR. It's because they are relatable. And for example, Michael, the director of publishing, I've talked to him several times, met him in person, follow his Twitter, etc. He plays a crap ton of games. He is a gamer like a lot of us are. He knows what consumers want, and he's also a developer, and he's a publisher of his company, and he also knows what the devs are experiencing. A lot of the Larian employees are actual gamers, passionate gamers that care about their product, and even the ones that aren't necessarily gaming as much maybe as they used to, they really just care, and they want to create a good product, and that allows Larian to have really good public relations because it's actually real and it's not fake. Like I said, imagine Blizzard or Activision or you know, Ubisoft and companies like that speaking on this. Like, it just wouldn't work. Now, those were the two speeches for the Game of the Year award. I just really wanted you guys to hear those because, you know, obviously at the Game Awards in December with Jeff Keighley, they didn't get too much time to talk. All the devs were under major pressure trying to speak within a really short time frame. Hopefully that changes next year for the Game Awards. But I'm going to let the other four speeches play out. The game direction one stands out a little bit to me. I'll leave a chapter marker. I think it's the last one in this video because you really start to see how involved and how important Sven is, how much he really cares about the game that he's creating. He's of course the CEO and creative director. Make sure you listen to that one, but I think they're all really great. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will of course keep you guys updated with all Baldur's Gate 3 stuff, including all that mod stuff in the future. Catch you on the next one.
Well, thank you for the recognition. Obviously, the Academy, most especially our players and community, but of course the team. The team at Larian Studios for over 20 years now has been building the technology and the knowledge and the philosophy to be able to build this type of game. And it's really up to them right now to figure out how can we optimally use it. And we've created Baldur's Gate 3 with all of that knowledge because we go one step further every single time, and this isn't the last one. Thank you. Thanks again for recognizing that we made a really good story. By we, I of course mean the entire team. It's the narrative designers, it's the writers, but it doesn't stop there. You also need people that, you know, make it work. You need the scripters, then you need all the cinematics team. Like everyone again in Larian Studios plays a part in making sure that even how kick-ass the story is, that it really works well. I remember the first time we met with Wizards of the Coast, I think only one day before Sven Vinke, our creative director, had his finger in the monster manual on the Mind Flayers and was like, this is going to be the big bad guy. And I thought like, wow, okay, that's, you know, he's really big and bad. But in an RPG, you really need to be able to go from a zero to a hero, so the big bad guy needs to be almost impossible to beat so that you can create that entire journey. So yeah, go big or go home. Thanks again. Again, thank you for the recognition for game design stuff. I would like to say we didn't do that much different, but actually we did. Like, to me, Baldur's Gate 3 still builds on top of a highly interactable world, lots of synergy, lots of reactivity, etc., etc. But what we did have to do is apply Dungeons and Dragons rules to it, which was a challenge. So this award goes to the design team for actually succeeding in that, because what works in a book on paper and tabletop in the theater of your mind doesn't really work in a computer game necessarily. So this one's for them, for making it work, for making combat fun, for leveling up, for explaining this to everyone who's never actually played a Dungeons & Dragons game. Design team, hurrah! I know it doesn't show, but I am actually nervous. I didn't expect this one. The nominees for this category are really strong. I wouldn't have given it to Baldur's Gate 3. I always dedicate all of these awards to the team, because without a team you don't do anything. There's never one person that is responsible for a thing, it's always everyone. But there is, when we're talking about game direction, there is one person that is responsible for getting the best out of us, for sharing a vision with us, and trying to get us to actually understand that one and help him achieve what he wants, what he sees, and that's Sven Vinke. And so this one I will dedicate not only to the team, but especially to him, because he really deserves this. Also, please know that I don't suck up to my boss, and he knows this. I pick fights with him almost every week. Just last year and the year before, I was fighting him over certain decisions that he was taking, where I thought, like, this doesn't fit Larian, this doesn't fit the game, and he always saw through North, and I didn't. So I was wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. Because he had a vision where, in his mind, he sees what the game looks like when it's finished. And a lot of people only do that when everything finally comes together and you can play it. So this one is for Sven. Cheers.